how's it going? As I'm sure you can hear, and you've just seen, I've got one of my buggies, a little Techno there, with an engine in it. I've got a Nova, I've got a B5R Evo in there. I was going to save it, because I wanted to take it out, run it in, like on a Sunday morning, you know, and just get some good shots of it, because it's a beautiful little engine. But it's raining. It's Tuesday today. I've had a rain off from work. Too wet to do what we need to do, so come home. And I thought, you know what, the garden's completely flooded again, water everywhere. Let's get rid of that water, and while I'm messing around getting rid of that, let's have this engine just running in. So I didn't want to leave it outside because it'll annoy the neighbours. I mean, the grumpy side, the foreign couple on the left hand side, they're at work. But I've still got the old man next door, and I know he won't say anything. I don't want to annoy him because he's an old man, you know, he's in his 80s, probably sitting indoors trying to watch a film. So I put a little bit of gas pipe on the exhaust, put it out the door, and I've got the buggy indoors. Happy days, isn't it? Running nicely. That's its first tank that it's doing at the moment. It's actually the second B5R Evo that I've had. This one I had to build, so I built this one myself, put it all together myself, and so I'm looking at it to make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. I might have put things together a bit funny, but everything seems to be alright. Runs the nuts so far. We'll let it do its first tank. I'm going to do probably 5 tanks on tick over, just because I can, sitting here in the garage, you know. Do 5 tanks on tick over, and hopefully by that time it'll be the weekend, and I'll go and give it a bit of a drive and see what it's like then. But I'm going to go and get rid of some water, and we'll let this engine sit there and tick over for 5 tanks of nitro. Oh, got more flooding inside, it's gone everywhere, look. Even the bloody mousetrap got wetted, so I've got to pull all the welder and everything out. Try and plug up that hole now, but it's flooded everywhere. This is the problem, you see, people who don't know what they're doing, because that neighbour on that side over there put that concrete in between the 2 buildings. Now the water can't flood, it just keeps coming in here, springing leaks all over the place. And now my wall's all wet. On the other side of that's my bed where I sleep. Yeah, all in there. Bit of mould starting to grow in there as well now. It's all soaking up the wall. That's just from the last couple of days. I hadn't realised it was coming back in there again because I sealed all that brick up. But because he's put concrete there at the top of that, all of that used to be the floor. But you filled all of that on the outside up with concrete up to the top of that brick. So now the water goes under the concrete because he's put a layer of stone underneath the layer of concrete, if that makes any sense to you. And what happens is it doesn't escape, so it started to percolate through the bloody bricks now. It's made the bricks porous. Thing is, ever since I told him about that and we had a little conversation, because he thinks he's right, he won't talk to me no more. If you see him on the driveway or anything, all he does is ignore me. So it's just one of them situations. But we'll sort it out when the summer comes. That'll all dry. And then I'll have to take all of this bench and everything out. This will all have to come out, the wall will have to come out, and we'll have to seal it all up properly. This has had 2 tanks through it now. I've let it ran out. I was doing something and I come back and it stopped. I looked in there and it ran out of nitro. So I'm just going to start it up again in a minute and put another tank in it, 3 tanks. But what a lovely little engine. But yeah, I had to build this up completely myself. So I've just been looking over it. I know some of you lot are a little bit, but you lot are a little bit backwards, aren't you, some of you lot? I know some of you lot. I see your videos and you buy a brand spanking new engine and the first thing you do is stick it on the bench and take it apart and have a look inside. I'm thinking to myself, what the bloody hell was that all about? If you pay the money, yeah, to buy a ready built engine, just run it, because it should be put together properly, ready to run. Yeah, ready for its first start to be run in. Yeah, the way I see it, if I buy an engine which is built, yeah,
It's fully built. If I start it up and there's something wrong with it, I'm sending it back. And I'm saying, look, I know you're going to say it's my fault, but you built that up wrong. And I always film it. You know I do. I always film first starts of engines. Because for that reason, I'm not going to pay $4, yeah, for an engine which is built and then take it apart again myself, just to check on their workmanship. That ain't how it works in my head. Nah. When you're paying that money, that includes them building it. That's not just, you know, the price of the parts or whatever. If I have to take it apart myself and have a look inside to check their workmanship, I want to pay less money for it. It's as simple as that. But anyway, that's a lovely little engine. I'll tell you a few things that I've noticed about the B5 and the B3 in a minute. The differences I've noticed. I've got all that. That's just all come out of the exhaust there, just from 2 tanks. Anyway, some of the things I've noticed. So this is the early generation of a B3. I bought this. Must have been 2022. I'm not really sure on the year, but when Nova first come back into the UK, and I found out that they come into the UK, they're back in the market, I went and bought this one. This is obviously the new generation, 2023 version, and the new, you know, the latest, the top of the line. So we got the bottom of the line and earliest, and then we got the newest and top of the line engines. So I've noticed that this one, right from the beginning all the way right up until right now, the compression on this is absolutely mad. It's crazy, the compression on this. I mean, sometimes it even just jams up. You have to really heat it up and really get it hot before you can turn it over. You can't turn it over by hand when it's cold. But this one, when it's cold, don't forget, even when it's brand new, when it's cold, you can just go turn it over by hand with a fly. So I don't know whether they've lowered the compression. I mean, even when I had just the one shim, I've not touched the shims on this one. So whatever it came with is what it's got in it. But this one comes with a shim in it for 16%, and they give you a little bag with another shim in it for 25%. So even with the shim just for 16%, it'll be a little bit more compression, but you can still turn it over by hand, quite just easily, easily. And the shim for 25%, obviously, it's about the same. But that's one thing that I've noticed. This one's got considerably less compression than the B3. So whether they adjusted that on the newer ones, I don't know. But you know when you've got something noisy going on, like an engine running, as you can hear now, or music playing that's a bit loud. You know when you think you hear people, don't you? You think you hear voices, you think you hear people saying your name. I always think I hear people saying my name. And I'm looking around and I think no one there. Look outside, no one there. I keep thinking of hearing crashes and bangs outside, you know. So I'm thinking, oh, the neighbours are home, we're going to have to stop. When I go out there, there's no one out there. Mad, isn't it? Do you get that as well? If you've got an engine running, you're looking at an engine, or you've got some music playing, quite loud, and you're sitting there enjoying it, and you think you're hearing, like, who the bloody hell's that? You know, and you think, you hear someone outside, and you think, oh, someone at the door. Go and have a look. No one there. Am I just mad, or is that something that everyone else has as well? You have got to love the sound of an engine. When you've got that bit of pipe on there, you don't hear the exhaust note, obviously. You hear the mechanics of the engine running. All that noise there now is the mechanics of the engine. Apart from that rattly brake disc. I'll put my finger on the brake disc, you know. There we go, rattle's gone. All that noise, oh, I've got a rattly brake disc, but that's just the mechanics of the engine, you know. You're hearing the combustion, you're hearing everything, and not the exhaust note. I just love engines, man. They're just quality, aren't they? And these little Novas, they do seem really to do the nuts, man. Lovely little things. Anyway, this is tank number 4. Halfway through it.
I think I'll leave it, once this one's run out, I think I'll leave it for today, and I'll do a few more another day, because I'm running out of time now, I've got other things to do. Well, as usual, nothing that I ever do is ever straightforward. So, I thought for the last half a tank, I wanted to hear it roaring. So I took the little pipe off and just tipped it sideways, and all that oil came out of the exhaust, so it's nice and rich. And she was just sitting there happily and locked up all of a sudden. Just stopped dead. So I was like, oh, what's going on here then? And yeah, completely seized for some reason. I'm wondering if there was too much oil, maybe, I don't know. But I've been trying to get that loose now for about 10 minutes. I'm going to have to take the engine out, and I'm going to have to probably take it apart to unseize it. I've even tried heating it up, tried heating the block up, and to try and get the block and the liner to expand to let the piston go. But she's well and truly stuck in there, and she's not even at TDC. Doesn't look like. Looks like she's about halfway down, I reckon. Not sure. It's not top dead centre, I don't think. So I don't really know what's gone on there, but the old flywheel will rock. The flywheel, it will go a little bit, like a natural, like half a mil either way, but it just won't. It won't move. It's completely solid. So anyway, I've run out of time to work on to do anything to this today. I've got other stuff to do. It's a shame I couldn't get through that other half a tank, because that would have been a full 4 tanks then. But we've got 3.5 tanks on it so far. But the fact that it's just seized up randomly, it definitely wasn't too lean with all that oil that just come out of the exhaust. We'll have a look, we'll work it out. It can't be that bad. Worst case scenario, at least we know the parts are readily available for it. Obviously, with it being a brand new Nova, there's loads of parts available for it. I can just go to Answer RC, buy a new sleeve and a piston if I have to. A new liner and piston if I have to. Hopefully I don't have to, because it's a brand new engine. I haven't even got to use it yet, so why it's seized up is anyone's guess. But there we go. We'll work it out. And I've already predicted that some of you are going to say it's seized up because it was too cold. It was too rich, there was too much oil, and it was running too cold. Sitting there ticking over, running in like that. Should have been hotter. I don't know what the temperature was, because I didn't measure the temperature. So, you by all means, put it in the comments and bollock me for it being too cold. But I don't think that's the case. Something else has gone on. But I'll work it out. Don't worry. Right, so she's out. She's completely solid. Solid, absolutely solid. I hope I'm not going to have to take all this clutch off again and everything, because, well, I just don't want to have to. But why? Don't know whether you can see with this camera, it's not particularly good. But why has it gone like that is anyone's guess. Right, some of you would probably take off the back plate and that, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the head and see, I might be able to get it to free up from the top. You never know why it's done that. But the thing is, I've formed a bit of a theory, as I'm sure a lot of you already have from watching this so far. And you know, you do, when things happen to anything, you form a bit of a theory, don't you? My theory is, I reckon it's spun a bearing. I reckon a main bearing has spun and seized up. The reason I think that is because not long after I started it up, after putting the fourth tank in,
I started to hear a bit of a scraping sound, a bit of a bearing sort of rumble, and I thought that it was the clutch. You know, like the clutch, sometimes they make a bit of a ding 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 ding, a bit of a you lot know the noise I'm talking about, and I was just assuming it was the clutch and the clutch bell, you know, on the spur and that. But now this has happened. Now this is, it's seized up. I actually think that one of the main bearings is the culprit, but we'll see. On top there's a bit of grass there. I know you're going to say, well, I don't know, but the bit of grass there's not, that weren't in there. That's fallen in the hole. But yeah, it's completely rock solid in there. A bit of debris in there. Not debris, but you know what I mean. Got grass everywhere. Sorry, it's come off of me. The piston's definitely stuck in the liner, because now the liner's come loose. So the piston got stuck up there. Maybe it was not a bearing then. But the liner's come loose. The piston itself has actually got stuck in the liner. And I was saying earlier on about the compression and that, but maybe, I don't know. Right, I'm going to go and do something what you lot are definitely going to tell me not to do, and you're definitely going to give me a bollocking over it. So I'm going to tell you after I've done it. Well, I'm going to have to take it further apart. I'll tell you what I tried to do, and as I say, you can bollock me for it, but I put this flywheel, I put it in the vise, and then I tried to turn the engine to try and free it, but it wouldn't have it. The flywheel was spinning on the collet, so it wouldn't have it. But right, so I'm going to have to take the back plate off now. And what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to take all the thing off, all the clutch off, and I'm going to have to try and get the rod off of the crank. So I might not have to take the flywheel off. No, I won't. What a dickhead! I'm just going to take the back plate off, and I'm going to try and get the rod off the crank so that I can take the liner and the piston together out, and I might be able to separate them when they're out. But I tell you what, this is really annoying. And the thing is, now, well, it's annoying because this is a brand new engine. This shouldn't have seized up. Nobody can say there weren't enough lubrication. There's loads of oil in there, and nobody can say anything else. Yeah, the only thing that's moving, the liner is going up and down. I don't know whether this camera's actually focusing on anything, because there's no screen on this camera, so I don't know what you're looking at. But you can see there the liner is going in and out. The piston is actually stuck in the liner. So I'm going to try and get, I don't know if there's going to be enough room, because you need in order to get the rod off the crank, you need the liner out, because then you need enough room to flick it up. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get it off. I'm going to have to be a bit creative here. That is really annoying that that's seized up in there, though. I think it wasn't even doing anything. I was just running it in. Right, I'm going to play around with it and see what happens. Right, bollocking number 2 coming up from you lot. I've put the crank in a position where it's on its way down. It's the farthest it's going to go. I've got a punch, a bit of cloth over the top, and a dead blow hammer. Right, I think. No, that is solid in there. Absolutely solid. How on earth did that even happen? Mad. Right, it's gone down now. It's still stuck in that liner, look. But it's gone down, but it's well and truly stuck in. There it is. There's the liner. Why did that happen, I wonder? Right, now we've got it apart, let's go and investigate, shall we? Right, so I don't know, hopefully you can see some sort of detail with this. There's a lot of scratches on the outside of this for some reason. I was like, how the hell can scratches get on the outside? There's no real marks on the inside. There's nothing that would... the only thing that I can think of why it seized up was because of excess carbon. There's nothing else in there. Let's get this piston out. Right, let's see. Come on, Mr. Piston. Let's get you out. Will you come out, please, Mr. Piston? I'd like to see you, if I can. Please. Mr. Piston appears to be stuck on the end of his... Oh, there he is. Right, there we go. The piston looks fine. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that piston. There's a lot of oil build up, as you can see, all on the top there. So perhaps it was too rich, but I don't think it'll have been too rich. I think this is just simply one of those things, what happens. And, you know, we have to just move on. So now, that piston, see, look, it does get stuck in there. Yeah. Too much oil, I reckon, built up in there and seized it up, because it won't go any further. It won't go any further than what you see there. That's as far as I can get it to go without properly really forcing it, but I don't want to be doing that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some brake cleaner. Yes, brake cleaner. Bollock me again. Right, I'm going to clean all this off, get rid of all that built up oil that's not burned away. So then it will fit in there, because obviously the tolerances are really, really tight. And then hopefully we'll put it back together and it'll run again. And I can finish off the fourth tank. Still got half a tank in there. Well, actually it's a bit less. It's about a quarter of a tank. It's not half. It's about a quarter. Anyway, right, I'm going to clean this off and put it back in. Right, so that's completely clean now. I've cleaned all of that. It still won't go past, and I've got stuck. It still won't go past halfway, even though it's all completely clean in there. I might have to give it another cleaning. There must just be a little bit too much shit in there, you know. But we'll get it. Can't quite get to the middle. That might be the problem. I know what you're gonna say, I know, but I'm putting this in the middle of the cloth, not at the edge. Don't worry. Some of you lot are pristine and some of you lot ain't. Some of you lot will be with me and some of you won't. Right, that's a lot better than it was. Is it going to go in there? No, it still won't go past it, look. Still won't go past it. And now it's stuck in there. Oh, don't get your thumb stuck in a liner. Jesus. It might be alright. If I put it together, I might be able to get it to go in and out of there. A bit of shit in there, but not a lot of it. Right. I know you're all going to bollock me as well for using this cloth. You're going to say the cloth will scratch it. But the thing is, in my head, if that piston's been jammed in there, you know what I mean, so there's going to be a little bit of damage happened. I've never had one, I've had them seize up, I've never had one seize up on the fourth tank of running in before. Never. Never had them seize up while running in. Had them seize up in general, not while running in. That's a new one on me. But it won't go past that. But cool, it's actually stuck in there now. Hold on. I had to put the rod in the vise and pull on it to get it out. Anyway, I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to put loads of oil around it. I know you're going to say, well, oil was the problem, but when you put an engine together, regardless of what's happened to it, you always oil it up. Always oil an engine up. I might stick a little bit more cleaner in there and give it a bit of a rub around with that cloth, and then oil it up again, because there's obviously coke build up. That's obviously what the problem is, you know. That's obviously what the problem was, because there is a lot of it in there, but I wouldn't have said that was an issue, but perhaps it is. The bearing's alright. I really honestly thought one of the bearings had spun. Not obviously these bearings can't, you know what I mean. I know these aren't shells. I know some of you, you know, the term spun bearing is usually with shells and caps, you know, the shell spins. But I know these are actual roller bearings or ball bearings or whatever you lot want to call them. But what I mean is I thought one had sort of spun a bit in its housing and perhaps come a bit loose or something, and it had started to break up. That's what I honestly thought had happened from the noises that I'd heard. But perhaps the noises was the piston starting to jam up in there, because it did change pitch. It got a little bit deeper and the revs dropped, and then it just kind of went and stopped. So interesting, very interesting. Right, let's get this back together. Right, so I put it all back together, but now we've got a bit of an issue where I can turn it over now, but there's a bit of a, does that look? It's all loose. Then it goes clunk. Top dead centre, which is there, then it goes clunk, then it's all that play, and it does that. I don't know what that's all about. I'm going to make sure that that's tight. I don't think it's on the collet, but we'll try and run it again and see what happens. Right, so it's not skipping on the collet. The flywheel's not spinning on the collet. You can see the piston goes up and down slightly when it's got that little notch there. It's not going to focus on it, so you're just going to have to ignore it. So that's bottom, that's top, clunk, and then off again. Not happy with this at all, to be honest. So I'm going to see if it'll run. I don't know. Not happy with this at all, to be honest. Let's put it in the buggy and see what happens. Alright, make a bit of noise. Let's just see. Let's just see if this is going to fire up. Battery's going to run out on this camera. Let's just see what's going to happen. Turn it down a minute.
Okay.
smoking. Well, at least it's running again now. Lost a bolt from someone, I don't know where that's come from. Let's just see if it'll do that last bit of fuel there and then see what happens. Yeah, it might have done that. Well, at least it runs. I've got engines that have that little notch. See, it didn't have, when I put this together to start with, it didn't have that little notch. It was smooth. You got top dead center, compression, pinch, whatever you want to call it, and then down again. No notch. I've got engines that have got that little notch, but they're old and worn. This is brand new. I don't think it should have that little notch at TDC, that little free play spot. I think something's gone a bit tits up there, to be honest. But at least it runs. At least I can finish running it in, and we'll go from there. Minion's got smoke in her eyes. Thanks for watching, you lot. Thanks for being here. Appreciate every single one of you. Treat each other equally, and we'll see you on the next one.
Ghost hunting.
Yeah, we're going to do a bit of ghost hunting.
Yeah, subscribe if you like ghost hunting.
Yeah, if you like ghost hunting.
Yeah, ghost hunting.
Maybe we'll do some ghost hunting.
Ghost hunting!
Cheerio, you lot.